Hi everyone and welcome back to the New Earth Love podcast. In this podcast we are sitting together with the masculine and feminine to build more trust and understanding so that ultimately we'll create more love and peace in the world. And today I'm here with the beautiful Sina.
Hi.
Actually, second time we did this before, so it's kind of we had a rehearsal already, but the video got crashed, so this is the refined version. So thank you for checking in. And let's start with a little check-in for today. How are you feeling? What is in your heart?
I'm feeling really content. I'm really happy that we managed to do this again. I'm really happy to be here and excited for what's coming up and what we're talking about. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling in the right place. It feels aligned to do this, even though there is anxiety and overwhelm in my field because I'm leaving Thailand, where we are right now, in 2 days. And so all the packing, organizing visa, hoping that I keep everything sorted in my mind. So that's definitely in my field. And at the same time, a deep desire to do this with you again because the topic is so important. And curious also how much I remember from last time when we did this. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, our topic is the menstrual cycle, and I'm Sina. I'm a menstrual cycle mentor and FreeBleeding expert, meaning that I'm guiding and helping women to fall in love with their menstrual cycle, and if they want also to learn FreeBleeding. And one thing beforehand, before we start, is that I'm using the word womben instead of women or female, because there are also individuals out there which are having a menstrual cycle but not identifying themselves as females, or trans men are also like sometimes still bleeding or on their cycle, even that they're doing testosterone therapy. So yeah, that's just a little thing beforehand.
Or the other way around.
Yes.
If someone's a trans woman, is that the right term? If you used to be a man and then you're a woman, you're a trans woman, then you're probably not bleeding.
Yeah.
I don't think that's possible yet.
No.
And so you would not be resonating then with that topic, even though you identify as a woman. So yeah, I like womben as a term as well.
Because as long as you have a womb, I'm the right person for you. Let's say it this way.
Let's start with the first question. What would you say is the most important misunderstanding about the menstrual cycle? Yeah, let's go with that question first.
The biggest thing is, and belief which is created in our system, is that it's normal to have PMS symptoms or even pain and discomfort throughout the menstruation, but also the week before the menstruation, which is the premenstrual phase, or luteal phase. I guess we're getting into the phases later, but that is the biggest myth, I would say, and that creates a lot of suffering in the world. And that is also my mission, because like 80% of women actually experience pain or suffering throughout their cycles in their life. And if we think about it like that, every woman has 420 to 520 cycles in her life. That is a lot. And if we suffer every month, instead of using it as a power, which is completely possible, that creates a lot of suffering, and is based on that belief that it's normal to suffer and have pain.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, I have been with more than one partner who was very conscious, or who is very conscious of his cycle, and I perceived it as a really powerful thing, actually, for me, as a what is the opposite of a woman, like a womben, like a person without a womb, without a cycle, without a menstrual cycle. I identify as a man, so I need to find ways to create a cycle of rest and, let's say, stronger performance for myself. And it really helped me, actually, to, when I was living with these partners, to attune to that, and to also allow myself periods of rest and periods of stronger productivity. Because when you are engaging in a romantic relationship, it's much easier to get attuned to each other's energy. So that was really, really beneficial actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's beautiful that you're getting inspired
Mm.
by that and attuning to it. I would say the most important thing is just also to understand where we're at.
Mm.
Um, and also, men definitely have another cycle. Like you are
Mm-hmm.
living more on a 24
Yeah,
hour cycle.
that's right.
And also on the different seasons
Mm-hmm.
in nature. So yeah, I wouldn't say that that is the most important thing, but obviously that's a nice thing if we're getting inspired from
Mm-hmm.
each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And can see like how that can like bring more joy to our life. I mean, that is beautiful.
You mentioned the four seasons. I
Yeah.
lived in the Canary Islands for 7 years
Oh wow.
where there is no seasons.
Oh yeah. How was
So
that?
my cycle got actually really mixed up because of
Mm,
that, and I didn't allow myself enough to rest because there was just weather like this, like
yeah.
bright sunshine
Yeah.
every day and 30 degrees.
Yeah.
So in the deepest winter and summer, you have identical weather more or less.
Yeah.
So that moment in the year, like right now here in Pai, I feel we have some kind of a winter.
Yeah.
It's cold in the night. It's cold enough to really feel like
Mm,
winter, and the system goes into
yeah.
hibernation a little bit. And I really needed that, to be
Yeah.
honest. I have enough. I'm looking forward to go to Vietnam now and have
Yeah.
warmer temperatures, but it was really beneficial also.
Yeah, and that is actually a good thing to jump on. Like
Mm,
we as women and living with a menstrual cycle and being cycle living beings, like we need the rest so much,
mm-hmm,
but our society doesn't really allow that, and that's why
mm,
there's so much resistance uh, in our body and within us and the system, because
mm,
like we are so used to like go 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 go
mm-hmm.
and being on high energy, and that actually creates yeah, maybe we should talk about the season, so maybe that is better than that is
Yeah.
like easier to understand. If you want, I can just
Yeah, I would love to jump into that.
mm,
I just want to highlight, like, even though I was never an employee in my life, so I'm
yeah,
self-employed for more than 10 years now,
yeah,
still I feel that program of like there's moments where you're supposed to rest
yeah,
from like an outside structure that is constructed.
yeah,
Like, okay, there's weekends and then there's summer holiday break for like 1 month, 2 months or whatever, and then there's Christmas break and Easter, and that's kind of like the 3 times where you're supposed to, I don't like this vocabulary, but it's still in my subconsciousness sometimes, where you're supposed to rest or are allowed to not perform and let go, and then from especially Monday morning you need to like
yeah,
go and
yeah,
work hard. And I even still like in this week was the same. Like Monday I was like feeling kind of energized and I want to do something, so that came kind of naturally in that moment. But I think there's a little bit also the program
mm,
in the end. Yeah, it's really important to attune to our bodies,
yeah,
and I would love to talk more about that and about the menstrual cycle, how yeah, what different phases are there, because it's not just bleeding as
mm-hmm.
like, okay, the rest of the month you're not bleeding and then you're bleeding. That's not
Yeah,
two
yeah,
phases, but there's like four.
yeah,
That's what I remember from our last conversation, and I would love you to elaborate on that. What are the different
mm-hmm.
phases, and how do they manifest
Mm-hmm.
in the body?
Mm-hmm. So I'm always explaining the four different seasons with the four different seasons of Europe. So the first season and the first phase is the menstruation phase, which is linked to the winter. So if we think about European winter, like snow, silence, white, rest, calm,
Mm,
that is exactly what our body needs, because we are part of nature, right? We just a little bit disconnected. And this phase is obviously different to every woman. Like it depends a little bit how long the bleed is. So it's between 3 and 6 days. And I would say take one more day. So it's
mm,
really the bleed plus one.
right.
Why do I say plus one? Because for example, when we're sick, the first moment we feel better, we're trying to jump in back into like productivity, and then we feel like, oh shit, it was actually too early. So yeah, take
Mm,
one more day. And then after that, after the shedding and the blood is gone and all that, we go into the inner spring.
mm,
And the inner spring is occurring because the estrogen is rising. So the estrogen is that hormone which gives us the energy kick, gives us the focus, gives us the glowy skin, makes us feel like really light and happy and energized. And that is the phase which is like, yeah, this is really the phase where you can be productive. You can tick off your to-do list like so fast, and we are so productive. And also our communication is really, really good. Also, the brain structure really and the hippocampus actually change throughout the cycle. So it's not only the hormone, but it's also our brain. So there are benefits in every phase. So the spring is for execution. And then after that is the inner summer.
Can you repeat again how long is the spring?
The spring is between 8 and 10 days.
Between the ends.
So after menstruation,
3 to 6 days plus 1.
and then so after menstruation till ovulation.
Yeah.
And then the ovulation comes, and that is the inner summer. And the ovulation is the shortest phase. So all the phases have different length, which is, with the ovulation is a little bit unfair, because the ovulation is usually the phase which like every woman loves. Like it's that phase where you feel like really wild and sexy and lean and just good in your body, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm so ready to, like win the world and stuff like that. But it's super short because the ovulation is just 12 hours.
12 hours.
And the thing is, you have a little bit of a pre and postpartum, like ovulation, like the hormones are peaking, then the ovulation is happening, and then you're still riding that wave a little bit. But yeah, it's a really short window. And then the energy crush happens. And that is the inner autumn. And that is also the phase which most of the people I'm working with are struggling with. It's the phase where people feel like guilty for not being so high in energy, where people experience PMS symptoms, which we have over 150 PMS symptoms. For example, brain fog, tender breasts, like discomfort in the womb already. So this phase is usually one which is considered like really heavy and challenging, and we are getting irritated pretty easily. But I tell you what, this phase is my favorite phase, and I always say, like, when you really live a cycle aligned life, then this phase, you're just becoming from that bitch to a witch. That is your wise woman era. But obviously we have to learn that because our society doesn't teach us about it. But rest is a really, really big pillar of that. And also like the transitioning from the summer energy to the autumn energy, to really like embrace that. Like, we can grieve that the summer is gone because our womb is grieving that there was no fertilization happening, like no baby is happening. So we're going back inwards and getting ready to shed again. We die again. So every month we're going to this build up. We're ready to rebirth, like we are like phoenixes from the ash, but then it's not happening, and then we're crashing again. So we're going back to death. So like it's just this cycle.
How long is the autumn?
Well, it should be at least 10 days long.
At least 10 days.
Yeah, at least, but better
so
12 longer.
Spring and autumn are similar in length?
Like the luteal phase is pretty much the longest phase. Like it should at least be 10 to 12 days.
Okay.
And the thing is why this is a little bit confusing is because we consider a normal cycle length between 26 days and 34 days. So obviously every individual has different cycle length, and that's why these numbers are a little bit like individual. So it's one thing to have cycle knowledge, but then the superpower is to know your own cycle and to know your own different seasons and how your hormones are changing in which days of the cycle. Yeah.
Right. Is there an indication for cycle length and life situation? I heard from some women who had like in stressful periods of their life only 14 days cycle for like the longer time, so like really short egg droppings, and that was pretty exhausting for them. So is there any, let's say, general theme that you can introduce for that?
Well, the theme is pretty much if your cycle is not regular, if your period blood is not really nice and red and rich, and if there's no ovulation happening, which can be a big reason why your cycle is longer or shorter, then your body doesn't feel safe.
Right.
Because your body will always prioritize surviving over thriving, meaning your body is preventing you from a pregnancy or trying to prevent you from a pregnancy by not making your cycle perfect. So if you have a stressful life, if you're not nourished enough food wise, if you're training too hard, if you have a job where you're not happy and all that, there's so many factors which can affect your cycle and your hormones, because your body is so intelligent. Your body obviously wants to protect you from getting pregnant, and also wants to communicate with you, hey, something is off, please listen. And then it's on us to listen. And that is the big thing I'm working about, because like, if we normalize pain and suffering, then we're not listening. We listen in the moment we're getting aware that this is actually my body talking to me.
I call that self-gaslighting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And before we dive more into different topics, I just want to promote this beautiful woman here. And so Sina actually does work as a coach for all the things we share now. And like, you have so much knowledge, so we just like pinpoint a few things. So I will share the socials down in the description. And since I'm promoting already, give this a thumbs up if this is resonating. This really helps to bring our message through with all the podcast work that we're doing here. Subscribe to the channel if you want to be informed in the future for the next episodes. And of course, if you have questions, if you have anything that you want to contribute, any inspiration for future episodes, you can write that also down in the comments below. Thank you so much. How can people find you the best? What is the best start to get involved with you?
Best is Instagram or my website, which I'll show you, will link that. But it's sina.zartstark, which is a German term, but it means tender strong. So find it in the description. It's the easiest. Yeah.
Finding strength in tenderness.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's exactly my company.
You work with German and international clients?
I do.
Right. Okay, cool. Amazing. So we have all the 4 seasons. And so what I get is like in spring, which is after the bleed, +1. Until ovulation. That's the most creative, outgoing, inspired time in the cycle.
Yeah, it's the most outgoing time, which is and the focused time from our brain.
So outgoing in terms of socializing and in terms of bringing creativity to the world also.
Yes. Creativity is also a big part of the inner autumn, but this one is more internally. So the inner autumn and the inner winter are more the inwards seasons, and then summer and spring are the outward seasons.
Right.
So and obviously this, we are talking about this in a generalization, but as every individual is different, every cycle is different too. But the overall understanding of the cycle are these 4 different seasons, but it doesn't mean you have to feel that way. It's okay. Like, the cycle is a beautiful indicator and a beautiful tool, but it is important to keep in mind it's your cycle and you have to understand yourself. And the best thing to start with that is actually cycle tracking, and just writing down some notes how you feel in different days, and just getting data about yourself, because this is empowering, like, to know our body and have data about our body, and knowing, okay, day 21, on this day I'm always crashing in energy. That is for me, for example, the case. So I know day 21, it's the best for me to stay at home.
Wow. I'm even a bit jealous, to be honest, that I don't have that. That's like, one of my ex-partners is a professional singer, so she would plan her gigs according to her cycle, or like being on tour in that phase or whatever, and it was quite reliable. So that was really powerful to see, and she knew exactly, in that week, don't talk to me, I just need to, rest and integrate. So it's super powerful to have that. And do you really experience that for yourself and for your clients, that, let's say, I forgot which hormone it is that makes you feel good when you're ovulating? Estrogen is what culminates in ovulation. So the estrogen is rising, you're feeling good, and then it really like crashes down in autumn, or is it more like this, and then you're going down towards the winter?
It's crashing down, and then progesterone is coming
Okay.
in.
Wow.
So like it is really important. It's not really important, only important that that one hormone is working. Like this is a big thing.
Mm.
Like hormones, they are all talking to each other and
Mm.
with each other. So one important thing is that estrogen and progesterone are good to each other in balance. Like
Mm-hmm.
because in the first half of the cycle,
Mm.
estrogen is the main actor, and then in the second half of the cycle, progesterone
Mm-hmm.
is the
Mm-hmm.
main actor. So progesterone is actually that hormone which is so underestimated. It's that hormone which gives us like this cozy feeling, this content feeling, relaxation.
Mm.
It helps with inflammations in the body. It's a really really nice hormone actually.
Mm.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, speaking of hormones, I was just coming up, like I was listening to the Huberman podcast. I don't know if you know it.
No.
It doesn't matter. Uh, it's a biochemistry researcher,
Mm-hmm.
and he was speaking about the role of dopamine in our society.
Yeah.
And what you said about the first half of the cycle and like being excited and having so much energy, so you receive through doing all these things also more dopamine, and it's easy to overperform, let's say, and get these high peaks of dopamine, and then everybody, not only women on their cycle, the body drops
Yeah.
in dopamine in order um, to balance,
Mm.
and that is usually like feeling like a hangover. So that could also be in combination with that. That's just something that came up now.
Yeah, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
like obviously we can have resistance between the to that, like feeling like, oh no, now it goes down,
Mm.
or we can appreciate it. We can say,
Yes.
hey,
Right.
this week I'm so in my power, and I
Mm-hmm.
can I can do that, and I can go over my limits because next week I'm
Yeah.
dropping,
Mm-hmm.
and next week I will have permission to rest.
Yeah.
So if we see that from that perspective, then it
Mm-hmm.
sounds so different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's
Mm-hmm.
just an appreciation for that drop of energy, which then can be like, you know, like then you can just use it in such a different way if the
Yeah.
resistance is gone and you just give appreciation to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole obsession with productivity in let's say masculine modeled society, I totally see that. And
Mm.
in my own work with myself and my clients, there's also, I always see the signals of the body as an indication for feelings, and the feelings are there because of a need behind it.
Yeah. Mm.
So, and feeling tired and exhausted is a feeling, and
Yeah.
the need behind it is usually for rest and integration. So
Yeah.
if we see that as a like there's this wheel of emotions and all different modalities where you
Yeah.
can see like the spectrum of human emotions, they all have a reason. Like when you're sad, when you're angry, when you're afraid, they are not there to annoy you.
Yeah.
They're actually signs that some of your needs are not getting met, and then you can explore like, what do I actually need, and stop running against the wall, right?
Mm.
So in that specific scenario, that's yeah, super valid.
And it's so
Mm.
beautiful because as soon as this estrogen glass is lifting, you know, before you saw everybody as a potential partner and you were so
Mm.
out there and
Mm.
your communication was great and all that. But yeah, maybe there was a part of you which were not really like considering yourself anymore because you're
Mm.
so out there,
Yeah.
you know, which is like it's serving a purpose. But then coming back to yourself and being like, oh, now I want to reflect about the last 3 weeks. I want to
Mm.
take my time for myself. That is such a beautiful thing to do.
Yeah, and I love also in my field, at least, there's more and more women who are open about their cycle. When
Mm.
I check in with someone I meet, like, how are you feeling today? And I was like, yeah, I'm in my ovulation, I'm feeling great. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
now I understand that better. Or, yeah,
That's
I'm
usually
actually,
when you meet new females in the ovulation phase
yeah.
because men are attracted to that energy, right? And to our pheromones and hormones. That is exactly when you
Well,
usually meet people in the first
well,
place.
well, I have quite a few long-term female
Yeah.
friends, so yeah. But I get what you mean. It's the sexual predator phase, so to say. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The ovulation phase. If you have the feeling you were not taking out on a date
Uh-huh.
for a long time, well, maybe you weren't in the autumn and in the winter. Just wait for the summer; it will come along for sure.
Right, right. Would you like to say a few words about the free bleeding to
Oh yeah.
introduce that?
So I discovered FreeBleeding in 2017 when I was about to do like a big journey and big travel, and I wasn't so sure if menstrual products are available everywhere in every country. which I just want to point out that that is such a privilege when we have access to menstrual products, which we also can afford, because this is not the reality for everybody.
For most of the world, probably even.
Yeah. So it is a privilege to have access to menstrual products and being able to pay for them. So yeah, then from that perspective, like I used all the different menstrual products, but there was a point where I was like, okay, first of all, I don't want to put anything in my body anymore, because it just doesn't feel good to use internal menstrual products. But then there was also this other curiosity, which was like, oh yeah, I mean, free bleeding is possible. I heard this term before. Obviously, I didn't come up with this. And it started as a movement. Like free bleeding started as a movement, especially for um, creating awareness for these problems, you know, that some people don't have access. So yeah, I went down this road, and within like 2 cycles I learned how to free bleed, which means I don't use any menstrual products. And the easiest way to explain is actually that it's just potty training for women.
Nice.
Like, you know, you do the potty training with kids for the pee, but then you can learn that as well with your menstrual blood, which in the beginning for me was so mind-blowing. And that is also usually the reaction I'm getting when I'm talking about it, like that people are like, what, but you're not staining your clothes? And I'm like, no, actually not. Like so you feel that feeling in your cervix, and that feeling can be really, really different from person to person. So some people just feel full. Some people really feel like the cervix is kind of soon overflowing. For some people, it feels like more like an intuition. Oh, I think I have to go to the toilet. So there's not even a feeling on like body wise, but there's this intuition, this deep intuition. Okay, now I need to go to the toilet. And yeah, then you go to the toilet and you let the blood out, because our blood comes in waves. It doesn't just flow out all the time. It has waves, it has its times. And it's a beautiful way to connect to your blood, to see your blood, the color, the consistency, if there are clots in the blood, because our blood is a really important vital sign. And by being able to read that vital sign, obviously, that is a big indicator about your own health. So yeah, last week I spent some month writing a book about it. And yeah, I wrote this book because there's not a lot of information out there.
What's the name of the book?
The the book's name is FreeBleeding.
FreeBleeding.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't exist yet as a title?
No, like, I mean,
Wow.
there's a subtitle as well, like
Okay.
empowerment for yourself, freedom for us all.
Nice.
Is the subtitle, and I have it in German and I have it in English. So yeah.
So, and people can download it on your website or buy it?
Yeah, you can buy it on my website.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, what came to me also when you were saying that is like, in ancient times, or how it's supposed to be before modern society came in, you would just drop it in nature.
Yeah.
And the blood is super nutritious, so you're giving back to
Yeah.
nature. You're eating fruits and whatever is around into your body, and you're giving the blood back to the trees to be nurtured. Right?
Yeah.
Also, really, like one of my ex-partners, she would collect all her period blood and make a ritual to give it back to nature.
Yeah.
Because obviously, when you're in the 5th floor or whatever of a building, it's quite exhausting to like always run out and find a tree.
Yeah.
And there might be people who are bothered by that, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, they're really beautiful rituals. You can give it back to nature. You can just sit with your sisters and celebrate the period as well, which is like so beautiful to do, especially on the first ever period. But also like painting with your period blood or making a face mask with your period blood. If you ever want to do that, by the way, someone who's listening right now, please only use the first day blood for a face mask, for example, like the freshest blood in the beginning. For all the other rituals, you can use the blood from the whole period, but for especially like face masks, I would just recommend the first day of the bleeding.
There's stem cells in there, and
Yeah.
Super powerful. Yeah, and I think we really need to bring more of this conversation into the mainstream, into the public, because there's still unfortunately so much shame around
Yeah.
the menstrual cycle and the blood, because like I think, like looking at myself in the past and other men, there's a lot of misinformation or
Mm.
ignorance, like just not knowing,
Yeah.
like not like I was never, before I had partners who were super attuned to their cycle, and before talking to you now also even in more depth, like I was not educated
Mm-hmm.
in a sense to understand women better in that sense. I mean, this is also my mission with this whole podcast,
Yeah.
obviously, to build a bridge. But
And
yeah,
yeah, and the thing is, like, yes, what you're saying is so true with men, but it really also starts with the women. A lot of women feel guilty that they
mm,
don't know yet so much about their
mm-hmm,
own body. Like, we
yeah,
are living with this and we don't know so
yeah,
much about it, which creates a distance to our body, but also makes us feel a little bit, yeah, like,
mm,
yeah, it's not empowering to be
yeah,
like, oh, I actually really don't know about my body. It
mm-hmm,
feels really shit.
mm-hmm,
And then by gaining this knowledge,
mm,
we're getting our power back.
mm,
But that is the first thing, like, I experience a lot with new clients, that there's a lot of shame and
mm,
guilt for not actually knowing. And then with the period as well, like, yes, first of all, blood, is more like, a lot of people have like this image that you bleed through your pants and it's
mm, mm,
embarrassing. And like, when you come when you're in school and you're getting to that age, there's this like thing like,
mm,
oh, I'm soon getting my period, my first
mm,
period, and there's this like, yeah, being anxious about it. Maybe it will happen the first time in school, and then it will be
mm-hmm,
embarrassing and stuff like that. And there's so much
mm,
stigma around the period blood and the menstruation, which is so sad.
mm,
And they are starting a study now, how it impacts young girls and women throughout their life, how the first period was actually processed.
mm,
So, were there parents who were supportive or celebrating that,
mm,
leading that girl into womanhood, or were they just like, yeah, hide it? And
mm,
so how we experience our first period can impact our
mm.
whole life, and how our relationship with our womb and our blood actually unfolds. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I see also is that rejection
Mm-hmm.
in form of shame, blame, or whatever might be there is always rooted in fear.
Yeah.
And fear is always rooted in separation and not understanding what's going on. And
Mm.
in a man's world, blood means violence or getting hurt.
Yeah.
Um, a male body just doesn't let blood out except for something is quote unquote wrong
Mm.
or cleansing, which is
Mm.
also happening here, obviously. But um, the education that it's friendly blood,
Yeah.
that it's actually healthy and it's nutritious and
Yeah.
good, and
Yeah.
it's so important to bring that up in the conversation and to educate not only women. I mean, obviously you created a whole business around this
Yes.
because it is not enough in public schools, right? We
Yeah.
learn
Yeah.
mathematics and all kinds of things,
Yes.
but the
Yes.
basic body functions,
Mm.
not, it doesn't stop there. Obviously,
No.
like we are not very much educated in the mainstream for
Yeah.
like things that I would consider more important
Yeah.
than for example mathematics. And I studied to be a math teacher, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, yeah, but to create more bonding, more trust and understanding, we just need to bring that more out, I would say. Yeah.
And like, the thing is, when people ask me, yeah, well, Sina, what is your mission? My mission is really like to get it out there, and that's
Mm,
why I don't work so much anymore with individuals. Obviously I do, but
mm,
like, I really want to go into the corporate world as well, and bring the education there, because we are working in
yeah.
teams, we're working in mixed gender like companies, and then also going to schools and just educating from like the
Mm.
young generation. So bring it in from that angle is my mission.
Awesome. And I just also want to promote again, if you are a woman, did I say that right? If
Yes.
you're a woman yourself, or if you know a woman who might benefit from this, share the video. Um, I think it's a beautiful introduction into all of this, and I hope that many of you can benefit from it. And if you're a man like me and you hear this, maybe you can help other women in your field also to become more aware of themselves with love and consideration. Yeah.
And it's always a good idea to have the cycle tracking app from your partner on your phone as well.
That's a beautiful one.
Like, you know, like by educating men, it's like the first thing is like really understanding your woman, your partner.
Yeah.
It's like, or even if you know, like when you're in a same sex couple, then like syncing your cycle tracking apps is also helpful, because yeah, it creates that understanding. Oh, where is she at? Like, and I also recommend that if someone is bleeding, to just wear a red hairband, because like even if you just have it around your wrist, you know, like it's a little bit of a sign like, hey, I'm on my bleed. So you know, like
Or
not every
put a dot here, like in India.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that is a little bit more obvious, but that really helps, like, because you know, like not to not from a not from a perspective of like victim mood or something like that. No, like from that place of honoring. I am on my period. My body did an amazing job the last month, and now it's time to let go and appreciate that process. So it's really like this, you know, like it's a warrior queen kind of act to point the period out, like, hey, I'm on my period. You know, I'm rocking right now. My body is like doing an amazing job. Like all the energy is internal. That's maybe why in the outside I feel a little bit more resty and I want to have nice food and some more cuddles from my partner. And that is just a beautiful invitation to do so. Yeah.
Yeah, I have one more question. And
Yeah.
before that, I wanted to add, like, I was reading the other day, I don't remember where it was, but it was a man thanking his woman, his partner, uh, in a sense, like she was carrying his child. And he said, like, yeah, your motherhood didn't start with getting pregnant. Since you got your first period, you're prepared for this.
Yeah.
And to really acknowledge that, like, wow, it is really, it's a lot of commitment to incarnate in a woman's body and to go through this cycle again and again and again to be able to be a mother on some point. It's really powerful. And that leads me also to my next question. How do you call it when the period stops at a certain age?
Menopause.
The menopause. What changes there? Do you have any experience, any knowledge about that?
Well, I'm a fan of teaching what I embodied myself. So I'm not in the menopause, but obviously I have a broad understanding of it and informations about it. So
just very brief.
Like it's just that if a woman comes to me, which is experience like the first symptoms of the menopause, we can look into that. But then I would send her off to a sister, which is already in her menopause, experience that she gets also the embodied woman who went through the menopause.
But there's less of a cycle and there's more of a consistency, I assume? Or?
So the thing is, like, first of all, there is this phase of changing, right? It's like the puberty when the body changes from a girl to a woman. But then the menopause is really that changing from a woman to a wise woman. And the analogy we give is that the wise woman phase is your inner autumn. So as sooner as you make peace with that inner wise woman in your inner autumn, that will be pretty much your personality after the menopause. Because there's not so much estrogen happening anymore. You're not so much out there anymore looking for a partner, looking, you know, to be reproductive. So you will be more like that personality from the inner autumn. So make peace with that one. So that is the wise woman you will, you know,
witch phase, extended witch period.
You will be the wise woman witch. The menopause and after the menopause.
You said the conscious transition from the bitch to the witch. I'm just quoting you here. So I wonder if there is, quoting you again, menopause women who turn into bitches and others who turn into witches. I would love to observe that more.
I think this is also, again, like society and resistance to the change, and that we also there's age discrimination, like as soon as a woman is not useful for making babies anymore, there's a lot of like age
Mm.
discrimination for women. I mean, if you just think about it, like men, they're getting more appreciated with age, like these are the gray sexy wolves. If you
Mm.
just think about George Clooney and all
More
these.
success
Yeah,
to look
yeah,
up,
yeah.
yeah.
But as women, like, first of all, there's a lot of like, anti-aging stuff, obviously, that comes also for men,
Mm.
but it's way, way, way more for women. There's so
Mm.
much pressure of
Mhm.
staying young and young and young, and I'm like, and obviously I'm not there yet. Obviously there will stuff come up for me as well when I'm getting older,
Mhm.
like there will be challenges for me too. I
Mhm.
don't know how that is now, but yeah, like, like there's a lot of doubts coming
Mm.
up, and a lot of, yeah, finding yourself in a society which is not really supportive of this phase.
Mhm.
And yeah, that is sad, but I think that this is also, again, a big change for a big opportunity for our society to change and
Mhm.
really getting our power back, reclaiming our power, like this is our wise women era.
Yeah.
And we are meant to be seen, we meant to be teachers, we meant to be mentors for younger women.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think it's like reclaiming that phase in a woman's life is a big part of how menopause will be experienced.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean, speaking for myself, I have like most of my female friends are older than me,
Mm-hmm.
and I love them for their beauty and their wisdom,
Yeah.
and there is even beauty in the wisdom.
Yeah,
So,
and there's so much grounding. Like, I feel like, yeah, when you look at these kind of women, you
yeah.
just see that they're like kind of like they're such an empowered,
Yeah, it's a
grounded.
Gaia energy,
Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah,
mother
yeah, yeah,
Mother
yeah,
Earth.
yeah. It's such a, and it's beautiful
Hmm.
for me. This is so attractive.
Yeah,
I
yes.
can't wait for,
I
for
can't
me.
wait for my
I
menopause.
can't wait
Yeah.
for my menopause. I mean, yeah, and there's, I mean, like I said, this witch to bitch to witch, but there is one more mantra, for the in the autumn. Like I have mantras for every different phase in the menstrual cycle, but that one is more a little, not that provocative. So it's like, um, my wisdom and my truth is my medicine and my weapon.
Hmm.
I choose carefully.
My truth is my medicine or my weapon.
Weapon, yeah.
Right.
And then I choose carefully,
Mm.
because there's so much wisdom in that phase. But
Mm.
there's also this irritation, everybody's like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. Like, yeah, so be just careful in this phase.
Mm.
It's a beautiful one, but be careful. Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Any final words? Anything that is missing that you want every woman or every man or every person out there to hear about the menstrual cycle or free bleeding or anything that's in
Mm.
your field where you're like, okay,
Mm.
this is your moment. Speak into the microphone. I
Yeah.
really want the world to hear this.
Well, I just want to say, reclaim your power and reclaim your body and your cycle, because it is a superpower and you're worth of falling in love with your cycle and using it as that wise compass which is within you.
Wow.
That's the final word.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody who's still watching. Again, I know it's sometimes annoying, but it really helps. Thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you like, and comment if you want to know something or if you have any questions. And as I said, I will put all the links in the description.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for coming here, for sharing all your wisdom and using it as not as a sword, but what do you say?
As a portal
As a portal
for
for, yeah,
connection, I would
for
say.
connection.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah. So thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yes. And wishing you an amazing day, and to all of you as well. Bye.
Bye bye.